It's time for EdTech Mondays, brought to you by MasterCard Foundation and CC Hub.
Welcome to EdTech Mondays Nigeria, a platform that facilitates critical conversations on the use of technology for teaching and learning. I am Chinyelu Akpa, your host, and it's great to be here again. This week, we'll be continuing the conversation on technology for inclusive and accessible learning. And on this episode today, we'll be examining what it truly means to localize learning. It is often said that when education feels foreign or inaccessible due to language, culture, or lack of relevance, learners are left behind. And on the show this week, our guests would share how they are making learning relatable, culturally grounded, and inclusive for underrepresented groups. It is our hope that at the end of the episode this week, amongst other things, you realize that EdTech must speak the learner's language, literally and figuratively, for it to be truly inclusive and accessible. We will journey into how EdTech companies are tackling the challenge of designing culturally contextual and inclusive learning content. And to do that on the show this week, again on this episode, I have two amazing female guests who are representing amazing organizations, EdTech organization doing this work in Nigeria. Our first guest is Alera Thompson, who is the founder and CEO of Blue Sands Academy, an EdTech initiative transforming STEM education in underserved Nigerian schools through offline virtual labs and hands-on STEM kits. With over a decade of experience as an educator, she is deeply committed to empowering students and out-of-school girls. She previously founded Sound Her Nigeria, which evolved into Blue Sands Academy, now reaching thousands of students and producing national STEM competition winners. Alera is an Obama Fellow, Tech Women Fellow, and Tony Elumelu alumna with awards from UNESCO and the British Council. Join me as I welcome Alera Thompson on the show today. Hello, Alera. It's good to have you here.
It's nice to be here. Thank you very much.
Great. And our next guest is Joy Olawale, who is the Education Content Manager at Mavis Computel, where she leads content development for the Mavis Talking Books. That's interesting. With a background in economics and a passion for data analytics, she focuses on measuring the impact of localized language content on learning in Nigeria. Joy is also known for her love of music, dedication to youth development, and vibrant collaborative spirit at work. Hello, Joy, who was once an economist but is now an educator. It's good to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here.
Interesting. You both are doing amazing work. I am intrigued from virtual offline STEM labs to talking books. Really, inclusion and accessibility doesn't get any better. Because I'm thinking, I did sciences at a point in my life, right? And I know how hard it was for some people in the classroom to relate to science because it felt like, who is Faraday? And why is there a Charles law and a Boyle's law? And all those very, ambiguous. So thinking that you have, let me not get ahead of myself. So let's get right into the conversation. Alera and Joy, what are your whys? Why the focus on what you're doing right now in Blue Sands with virtual offline labs? And how does this contribute to making learning more inclusive and accessible through technology? Alera?
So the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing at my organization, Blue Science Academy, started from my personal experience. I was in SS1 in science class where you don't really know whether it's science or it's arts you want to read or something like that. So going to the laboratory, having like 50 students surrounded by one experiment was very daunting for me, and it made me lose my interest as a girl child. I decided to go for what they call it, science, social sciences, then in my secondary school. So we had social sciences, you either choose physics or chemistry, so I chose physics. So after finishing my secondary school, instead of me to go for science courses, I went for business administration, which has a bit of science inside, but that was not my initial plan. The reason because I did not have adequate laboratory to carry out science experiments, so science became very foreign to me. So when starting up my organization, Blue Science Academy, I decided to go back to my secondary school and meet my tutors, and also the same state I met the school was the same state the laboratory was. So I said to myself, I can do something to this. So after graduating, I also went to Kaduna State Ministry of Education, and I told them I want to do something concerning the science student in the school. I started for free with Blue Science Academy, just carry like 2 or 3 locals from the community, and we started. What we are doing was like, when you get into the classroom, almost all of them, northern area, they were speaking Hausa language. And you're teaching science, boys love this one and everything, they don't understand. So we started producing content in local Hausa language that has to do with physics courses, chemistry, and biology. Now, the problem we had was that after teaching them in these local languages, they still write WAEC in English, and that was a challenge for us. Well, this was the reason why I ventured into what I'm doing at Blue Science Academy from my own personal experience.
So what do you do at Blue Science? So what's the EdTech solution that Blue Science Academy has?
So the EdTech solution we have right now, we have the online virtual lab, and we also have the offline virtual lab that are in STEM kits. And this STEM kit comes along with preloaded virtual labs that are inside a PC or a tablet, and also with a low connectivity modem.
So a child in Mambila Plateau or in Adamawa,
or Sabongeri, Zaria,
that's where I started who from. Wants to study sciences can learn sciences from the comfort of their mother's kitchen.
Yes, very well.
Interesting. And let me come to you, Joy. Why did Mavis Computel start doing what you're doing with the talking books? Because how does a book even talk? Does it have mouth to make it talk? And what was the challenge you saw that you're now building for?
Thank you again for that question. And one thing that always stuck with me, for Mavis, one of our co-founders had told us a story about one time he decided to take a walk, and it was one of the rural communities. This is in Abuja, but then, they have the communities of people. And he took a walk and he saw this community, and there were children who are playing together. And you know how children can be when they're playing, they'll correct each other, they'll tell each other, you're not doing the correct thing. And he realized that actually, children learn better by teaching each other. But then the important thing is they're teaching each other the right thing. So we have a book and we have a pen, and it's this amazing technology that when you put the pen on the book or the section of the book, it reads out or speaks out what is on the book. So when you think about it, if we're trying to teach a child math, right, and we want to teach them the correct thing, they'd all gather around together with that one pen, they'd put it on the book and they'd hear what it's saying, and they'd be telling each other, 1 + 1 is this. But better still, it's now in their language. Funny thing, when I was growing up, I actually wanted to be a math teacher. Funny enough. But I realized that to teach math, I have to study math. And I'm like, that's not going to happen, because I just felt like the teaching wasn't meeting my needs. And a lot of times, it's not really the teacher's fault. In rural Nigeria especially, we have a lot of teachers who don't really know what they're doing. They're trying their best, but then it's really hard, right? And once people have the experience, they leave the rural area. They want to go to the urban areas. So what we have is a case of children who really do need that right foundation to start with. And so we have this technology, we have this concept that also still has the physical aspect to it in a way, right? And so we're able to bring children together. They're able to sit in groups, and with that, they can learn, hear the correct thing, hear the correct sum or addition in their language, and talk among themselves. And even the teacher now, their lives are easier when you think about it. So I think that's one of the major things, just seeing how children learn, the need to actually have the right foundation and working with that in communities.
I think at this point we can call it a day, everyone. Let's go home. Because really, technology doesn't get better than this if there's a technology that can help young people. So I'm thinking you have a group of children, they're on their way to the mosque and they're just sitting by, it's not yet time for prayer, and they have a book.
Exactly.
And today they're going to learn something in English.
Yeah.
So how it would typically work is it will tell them the thing in Hausa language.
Yes. So I don't speak Hausa, unfortunately, but let's just assume that there's.
Is it just Hausa, by the way?
Oh no.
Okay.
We have many languages, and again, the beauty of it is based on the needs that are seen, based on, there's this community that actually needs this solution, then we'll be able to actually tailor it to their languages. And again, we're getting local speakers to actually do the voicing of it.
So it sounds
so
like...
it actually sounds exactly. The other day I was
humans.
doing audio related things this was Swahili and French learning. But the Swahili and the French learning is Congolese type. So you can just imagine, even I that did French, I was a bit confused, right? So at the end of the day, you're able to hear it in the right intonation, in the right tone, and you're actually able to teach the child properly.
So you have it in Yoruba?
I'm not really sure about the Yoruba.
But you have Nigerian languages.
Yeah, we have different Nigerian languages, exactly. So we have the Hausa, the Kanuri, and everything.
So I'm impressed, because if you have Kanuri, I mean. So let's now come back. The excitement is so palpable in the studio today. So now, what are the biggest barriers you faced in delivering this accessible content to linguistically and geographically and sometimes financially marginalized learners?
So for us at Blue Sands Academy, the challenges we faced when pushing out our solution was one, language. Because you have chemistry, physics, biology that has been taught over the years with English. Exactly. Or in Ogoni. So how do you do that? And at the end of the day, sometimes they ask us, after learning these courses in local language, we still go back, WAEC is English. So that is one of the challenges. Second one again is funding. Localizing this content and also translating into different languages is cost effective, and you have to use the right language for the right students. Then another thing again is government not giving access for WAEC to be written in Nigerian languages. Praxi Lab presently has Praxi Labs in English.
What's Praxi Lab?
Praxi Lab, these are virtual labs, just like Blue Sands STEM labs. So they have access to different STEM laboratories. They have it in English, they have it in French, they have it in Arabic. They even want to have it now in Yoruba because of Nigerian students in the UK, so that they can capture those set of students. So if the government can come along and localize this content and say, okay, from now let's have WAEC in English, WAEC in Arabic, WAEC is in English. Let's translate it from English to maybe Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, and all the rest. I think that is one of the challenges we are facing, and that is where I think the government can come in. Then also support for EdTech companies like Blue Sands Academy. The EdTech space, I'm sorry to say, is not as sexy as it is, because we carry on that old mentality of teacher's reward is in heaven. So when they see you building an EdTech solution, it's as if you are just building a solution for eternity. Then parents have already paid school fees and you want them to pay extra for your content. I remember a certain time they asked my co-founder, I've paid school fees of almost 1.2 million. You want me to pay school fees for this thing, subscription and all the rest? And we had to do a demo session for them to see the reason why. We discovered that even schools with full functional physical laboratory does not even create an immersive learning like the virtual labs. Now the students go home from the school, they don't have anything to take home. This is where our STEM kit comes in, the offline session of our solution. So if government can actually provide infrastructure, internet in schools, then also teachers training, very, very important. 85% of Nigerian school educators lack access to digital tools. The one that even have the access does not even know how to use it. So this is the bridge between having the tools and how to use it. So if you can go back to the curriculum and have teachers training in digital skills, then before they go back to the classroom, so that by the time we present EdTech solution, it will come easy. Now, if we are taking Blue Sand STEM labs to schools, we have to do demo sessions. After the demo sessions,
Training.
we have to train the teachers,
Then
train the students in using
onboarding.
VR headset, the virtual reality headset, first of all. Then how to navigate inside the virtual lab, that's another thing again. So these are the challenges. Then also, finally, as a female founder, it is very, very hectic. I went to take on front-end development so that I can actually speak the language of tech when I'm moving with my tech teams. You can have your tech teams and they come with all these jargons and everything, and you don't exactly know what is happening in your virtual lab. So one of the challenges I faced was the tech gap. So presently, right now, I'm a front-end developer by skill.
And a business admin.
Business admin and
by
an educator
school.
by school.
So let's come to you, Joy. For maybe talking books, what are some of the biggest barriers that you have faced in delivering accessible content that is linguistically, geographically, financially, relevant to learners? And yours is even a very important bit because you focus on literacy. Because even before you can get to this STEM level,
Exactly.
you need to conquer this level.
The basic.
If you do not know how to read and write, you don't even have any business close to a science or physics lab. So what are the barriers you have faced?
So I think for me, this again, because we're providing basic education, this is the foundation, the core of it. First thing I would say is mindset. Before we can actually break through, there has to be a breakthrough in mindset also. So yes, as much as we have this amazing solution that we're bringing forward, but sometimes it can be met with resistance still, or people just don't know what are you about, right?
So even when using a reader,
right? So if you go to a new community and okay, they might have a few teachers, but then you now bring this book that is speaking, and they're like, "What in the world is this?" So obviously, you now need the patience to actually help them understand what it is, why it is important, and then build from there, right? Again, another thing is you don't know what you don't know, right? And also, when we're thinking of reaching out to areas, sometimes you might not even know the areas that need it. So, for example, we would need, or it would be helpful if people are able to reach out and say, oh, there's this community. We thrive a lot in that. There's this community that would need this solution. This would be really helpful. And so just having that information, the access, and again, the support, the partnerships, because this is not something that we can do alone, we can wing alone. We definitely need the partnerships, the collaborations. There are some places that you can't just waltz in and just enter and say, I want to do this. You actually need like the government support, the community leaders, getting them on board also. And funny thing is, what Alara was saying about the language, for WAEC, for example, I did secondary school in India and we have Hindi medium, so they can learn everything we're learning in Hindi. So even in the exams, we have the English section, we have the Hindi section, right? And it makes a lot of sense because at the end of the day, the literacy is not really reading and writing in English. It's reading and writing.
It's reading and writing. Whatever you're reading and writing in is not the issue. Just read and write.
Yeah, so we have like foundational issues that might come as like a hindrance sometimes, but then it's things that are definitely workable.
Interesting. So now, how do you measure impact for you now as, with this STEM lab, the virtual labs and the talking books? How do you measure, how do you say that this solution that you have has checked the inclusion and the accessibility boxes in the areas that you go to? Because it's very easy to think talking books, so it's easy. But how do you then ascertain that what you have at Mavis Talking Book works? Because it's I'm thinking 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, at least that's the entry level, right? To really older. And the same way too, it's maybe for you it's a little bit older because you have the teenagers, really, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. But how can you really tell that what you have, and it could be tangible, you can give us tangible, indicators that your solution is checking the inclusivity and accessibility boxes as an EdTech solution, focusing on literacy and STEM education?
Okay, for us on the virtual lab platform, we have the leaderboard, we have the number of students that pass through each experiment, how many times they take that experiment and how many times they finished an experiment. Then there's also a checker. If you don't finish an experiment, when you come back, you are not starting from where you stop. You start all over again. So that metrics allow you to want to finish your experiment. Then we also have badges that we give to students on the platform. When you finish the experiment, you have maybe smiley badge or top-notch badge or high-performing student badge and all the rest. They also have our metrics from schools. For example, in Ogombo Community Junior Secondary School that we went there, nothing about science, STEM. They were just studying science. They didn't even know they're actually doing science technology. Exactly, yeah. So when we went there, we started with them. At the end of the 3rd month, they called us back, said, please, the Minister of Education called us back. We'll give you access to all the schools in Etiosa if you can actually do this, because we saw the results of what you're doing. And for the girls to win that competition, they actually built a mobile app through our coding sessions. They actually built a mobile app to help check maternal mortality from scratch to finish, and they became the national ICT winner in 3rd place. So the school called back for us. So one of those metrics is how we started learning and where the students were presently. Then also another thing for the teachers, how were you able to use those tools in classrooms, and how many teachers have adapted to it, and how many schools have adopted those solutions. Those are the metrics we check.
For sure, I think actually tracking from the beginning to, okay, so what was our starting point? What is our ending point? So for example, there have been projects done in Borno, and yes, we know like it's 6,000 students, but then how do we actually know that these 6,000 students that were reached in those 2 years actually understood what they were learning? So first thing, again, is where were we starting from? And we've seen like 61% improvement in numeracy skills, right? One of the things that we're trying to build also is assessments, right? So we know where you're starting from. Once you've gone through the process, once you've actually interacted with the talking books, you do an assessment to see if you actually understand what is being taught. Because one thing, it's very easy for you to just be reading along or saying along with the book, but then is it actually entering? Are they actually assimilating the information? So I think definitely that assessment, actually seeing the improvement in real numbers, that's one that of the major things. And again, like she said, the teachers also, it's first holding their hands, assisting them, watching the process, and then seeing how they do without the hand holding. So just trying to see how people do when they're guided, and when they're not guided, if they're actually able to follow through the process. So I think those are the major things. There's actually a lot of, as much as yes, it's EdTech, as much as it's yes, technology, there's still a lot of, we need to train, we need to understand, do you get what is being done? And then from there, we know that, okay, we're good to go.
So beyond, and I'm just trying to see how more people can key into, you know, what you both have, because as I said, it doesn't get more inclusive and accessible than this. Can people walk up to you and tell you, you know, this is a part of Nigeria, maybe they speak Ogoni, right? Can you design talking books in Ogoni? Are these things available? Because this is what technology can do. It's just to have these books, and you can have 10 learners learning with one book, and ensure that if they continue doing this at maybe 30 minutes a day, you're moving them from one level. So do you have this systems for people to reach you and tell you, please, you need to customize these books for us in this language?
Okay, absolutely, yes. We definitely even do that already. We have partnerships with individuals, with organizations. So if you come up to us and say, oh, I want to do talking books in, tell me one Nigerian language, but I want to do talking, in Ibibio. I want to do talking books in a language that we don't already have, because as I said, we do have a number, then it's something that we'd all come together, we'd partner together, we'd find the right person for the voicing and everything. So from start to finish, we'd work together in that journey. So you can definitely just send us a DM on Instagram, Mavis Talking Books, or visit our website. If you just put Mavis Computel, you'll find our website. There's so many ways to reach out to us. So yeah, if you see me on the road, just tell me. But yeah, we definitely are open to that and would love to do more of that in Nigeria. Yeah.
So for us at Blue Sands Academy, for example, let's say a school, maybe physically challenged school with disabilities, maybe they reach out to us. That's one demographics that we are also having a challenge with. Maybe they reach out to us and say, can you create a solution, or can your solution also work with the physically challenged? So what we do is to separate it. For the visually impaired, you cannot allow them into a virtual lab because of the sight and all the rest. But for those with maybe physically, maybe the hand and all the rest, we can actually create a solution for them. Then maybe for a school, maybe in Ibibio, Efi, Kalabari, Ogoni, or maybe Pokingstone in Plateau, reach out to us. Can you design a virtual lab in our local language? Yes, we can do. And also another thing we emphasize, after designing your local language, also emphasize English at the end of the day, because you still come back to WAEC until governments legalize local language content.
All right, so thank you. And how can they reach you?
Yeah, so they can reach us through our website, www.bluesandstemlabs.com. They can reach us there.
And parting shots, how can government, civil society, organizations, local barriers help to break down these cultural and structural barriers that can limit EdTech solutions being truly inclusive and accessible? I'll start with you, Joy.
I'd say partnerships and support. As I mentioned before, sometimes we need that assist to actually enter the community, because community leaders know their people best. And so if we're able to come in and we know that there's actually the support of that local government, of that community, that will make a whole load of difference. And again, just even knowing the places that we should reach out to. Yes, we're doing our research, trying to find the places, but if there's a place or if there's a need, you can reach out to us, let us know. And yeah, just that collaboration. I think collaboration is so important in this EdTech space. So looking to have more of that.
Thank you, Joy. And Alera?
So I'll take local supports of teachers training, then funding, and also policy amendments in the course that emphasize local languages in schools, across schools, from primary, secondary, university level. Then also teachers training, at least 1 year digital skills training for teachers before they enter into the classroom. Then also funding for EdTech companies so that we can actually embed our solutions in Nigeria and for Nigerians only.
Thank you so much. For me, I think what I have taken out of all of this, and I'll start ruminating, or maybe, who knows, it might be a conversation that we'll have next month or in some months to come, is language. If Joy and Mavis Computel and Alera and Blue Sands Academy are doing so much to use language contextualization for EdTech solution, there has to be a counterpart role that governing bodies, examination bodies can play in ensuring that learners are also supported to use local languages for examination. And we now see how EdTech solutions like theirs are supported to continue to do the work. So I'd love to hear from you, our listeners. What do you think about their solutions? We've heard talking books and we've heard about virtual labs. You can be doing your science practical from the comfort of your home, and you have a book that can speak a local language that will teach children maths, English, writing, maths, some sciences. Interesting. What do you think about that? And what other ways do you think EdTech solutions can be made truly inclusive and accessible? We'd love to hear from you. Send us an SMS or a WhatsApp message 0703 165 0809 or 0706 402 0742. We would love to hear from you. The question again, what do you think about the solutions? Talking books and labs in the comfort of your home. And what type of other inclusive solutions would you want to see for teaching and learning? The numbers again, 0703 165 0809 and 0706 402 0742. Remember, we have a very active Telegram and WhatsApp community. It's EdTech Mondays Nigeria. You really need to join these communities. You have access to freemium versions of some of the solutions that we bring on here. You can test them, you can use them, you can give feedback, and who knows, you might win cool stuff too in these communities. Join the communities EdTech Mondays Nigeria, and if you know anyone who has missed out on this very interesting episode of the show, please push them onto YouTube, CC Hub Africa, or they can listen on Spotify, EdTech Mondays Nigeria. Join the conversation, send us your feedback, join the communities. Would love to hear from you. And until I come your way, same time, same station next week, I remain your host, Chinyere Akpa. It's been an engaging conversation. Keep using technology to push the barriers on education. It's bye for now.
It's time for EdTech Mondays, brought to you by MasterCard Foundation and CC Hub.